How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews. Back with yet another review. A little age review. It's been a while since I've done one. Super excited to dive into this. Because I've never had this beer. But I've had many beers from this brewery. And they're probably one of my favorite breweries in the world. And that is Struise Brewing's Pannepeut. So, if you watched all my reviews, or you got lucky and watched only a few and happened upon their beers on my channel, I've reviewed a couple of their stuff. More notably, two of their biggest beers out there is their Black Albert, which is a Russian Imperial Stout and the king of kings in Russian Imperial Stouts for me, and their Pannepeut, which is their Belgian kind of dark ale that they're known for. It's probably one of their more well-known beers. I've done barrel-aged versions of it. I've done base versions of it. This is like I guess a kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of thing with the way the name's pronounced in Denmark, maybe, or something like that. It's written on the side. We'll get to that point. But apparently, from what I gleaned, because I actually did a little research on this, just because from reading the side I was curious, so I can get a little bit of research, actually. I guess this is kind of a similar version of the Pannepeut, but it's kind of, you know, made more in the quadish kind of vibe, as opposed to the Belgian Strong Dark. There's an argument to be had there. People like, how do you differentiate between a Belgian Strong Dark and a Belgian Quad? I don't know. You don't. I do know. You could taste it. Let's put it that way. I always tell people all Belgian quads, all quads are Belgian Strong Darks, but not all Belgian Strong Darks are quads. If that makes any difference. Anyway, so I was bopping around Jersey, went to a bottle shop, 2011 version, saw it on a shelf, never had it, picked it up. Here we are. Let's dive into it. As far as what it says on here, it says Pannepeut, 2011 Old Monk's Ale. It says here, Pannepeut is a special ale brewed and named as a wink to the Danish market, presented at the Danish Beer Festival Konsenhazen Oldedag. Yeah, I butchered that. In 2006. Exclusively for Ochenbrunns. I butchered that too. Stand. It is produced to express the brewers' gratitude to all the Dutch beer amateurs that drink their products daily. Pronunciation is a bit difficult, but sounds like Pannepeut. So it is Pannepeut, but they end up pronouncing it Pannepeut. So this is a version of that brewed for that reason. And it says, but it is totally different than Pannepeut. Unfiltered and pasteurized, bottle conditioned. It's a Shelton Brothers import, and that'd be that. Label-wise, it's awesome. It's kind of got that bubble jet print kind of label on it, where it's kind of gets wet and gets all fucked up. And you know, a Pannepeut, I guess, is a little fishing vessel out there in the in that region of Europe, and yeah, that'd be that. 10% alcohol by volume. There you go. I like the label because I like Belgian labels that just do it for me. That's where I kind of grew up beer-wise. So yeah, nice little hiss on that. Nothing crazy, but enough to kind of be like, okay, she definitely has some life to her. I was gonna try to pour this whole thing in there, leave a little bit in the bottom. Maybe swish it around and see if it changes the beer at all. She's dark. Yeah, she's pretty dark. I thought she was going to be a little bit lighter. And this is kind of the reason I don't do research. Because online people are like, oh, it's a lighter beer than Pannepeut and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, not much of a head on it. But there's enough of a head. Especially you're talking about a 6-year-old beer. Belgian-based beer. You know, it's kind of like a khaki-colored head. And she's dark. She's got a nice kind of rich mahogany meets brown kind of thing going on in there. Really can't see through it at all. But you can tell it's not pitch black. It's not super dark. There's a bit of color kind of floating around in there. So, does she look the part of an Old Monk's Ale? Sure. Does she look the part of a quad? A little bit darker, if that's what they're going for there. A little bit darker, but close. More Belgian Strong Dark in color. See if we can get a nose on this. That's the good stuff, baby. That smells like exactly. If you already know what I'm going to say when I make that face. Can I make that face for only a couple noses in beer? And this is one of them. This is it's Raisinets. It's Raisinette beer, but there's a little bit more of a kind of herbally spiciness to it, almost like an iced tea, like iced tea / Raisinets with a little bit of sugar daddy thrown in there. Absolutely fantastic. This is where my beers go, especially with age. This is that. It's kind of the marriage of a really nice, well done malt based beer, higher ABV malt based beer, that is yeast driven, and just that age just attacks on that raisin anything. Usually get that kind of figgy caramel kind of thing at birth with a lot of these beers. I assume there's spices in here that gives it more of that kind of tannic, kind of herbally, spicy thing going on. But then you throw the age in there, that's what takes that figgy datey kind of caramel thing and rounds it out and makes it a bit more mature, and that's where you get your kind of raisinettiness from. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Smells super delicious, super rich, super not desserty, but decadent. You can be decadent without being dessert, and it smells awesome. I just gotta dive in. Cheers. Ooh, a lot lighter than I thought it would be, based off the nose. And based off the look, I thought it would have some heft to it. It's not. It's a very light beer. That raisinettiness isn't nearly as big as I thought it was going to be based off nose. It's kind of floating around the fringes there. I'm getting a lot of like almost like coffee, toasted coffee vibes, like subtle cold pressed toasted coffee vibes. I think that's the herbally spiciness I was talking about. It's kind of went from a tea thing to me to kind of more of like a coffee thing. It might even be like a super strong kind of yerba mate kind of tea thing going on there as opposed to coffee. But it has this kind of caffeinated drink, herbally kind of nutty caffeinated drink thing going on for me. Carbonation is nice. Nothing too crazy. 6-year-old beer. But it does have a bit of oxidation going on. There's a decent amount of wet paper in here, but I'm not saying it makes the beer better, because sometimes that can work for me with a lot of these kind of Belgian-based beers. I think that's a positive a lot of times. I don't think it's positive here. I don't think it's a big negative either. I think it's a kind of a push, somewhere in between. I don't think it brings the beer or detracts from the beer, really. Really nice stuff. Super drinkable, 10%, not even close to even detectable. You know, it's a 7-year-old beer. You're not expecting a bunch of heat on it to begin with, but tasty, tasty stuff. You know, I hate to use the name of the word in the definition, that kind of thing, the spelling bee. You can't use the actual word you're defining in the definition, but it's very Struise-like in what it is as a beer. It's hard to explain, but the way their beers come off, they do have this kind of infinite kind of caramelly kind of drinkability with a lot of their beers, and it's just super delicious, super tasty. I do think the nose is a little bit nicer for me than the actual taste, but that doesn't detract from the beer, or shouldn't at all. It's aged gracefully. It's very tasty, and something I'm super pumped that I actually got to try. I do like Pannepeut better. There is a difference. There's a bit more of a, and I thought this is going to be a quad, now it was a dark. I would flip the script on that. I usually get more quad vibes from Pannepeut than I do strong dark. So this is coming off kind of not strong dark. It's almost coming off more double-like to me than anything else, but it's still not even there. It's like somewhere between a double and a Belgian strong dark, but still tasty stuff, aged beautifully. And I don't know if it's peaked. I don't think, let's put it this way, I think it's peaked, I should say that, but I don't think it's set for a long kind of downturn. So if you see these at this year or even older, I mean, these have aged fantastic for a very long time, depending on who's taking care of them, but it has a lot of legs left in her. But yeah, super tasty beer. I mean, Struise, like I said, it's one of my favorite brews in the world, so I go into these expecting fantasticness, but I've had a couple ones where I was kind of disappointed, so I'm going to go into it kind of honest, and this is a really fun beer to have, and I'm super excited to give it a whirl. Let's give this a kind of twist here and get a bit of that dregs in there, see if this changes the beer at all before I kind of wrap this up. So, goddamn, super yeast cake. Wish you could see that. Can't even see through it. Hold it up to this huge light up here. Damn. Anyway, let's talk about it. Is this one of the better? Not much of a change. A little bit of like kind of softness, particulate softness, which is to be expected. Is it one of the better Belgian beers I've had as of late? I don't know. I don't think so. I've had some really good ones. It's more I do this a lot with the IPAs. It's more, I've had some really amazing ones that kind of just do a little bit better for me, but it's really tasty. So let's call it, yes, on the edge. On the edge, yes. Value and availability, I think I paid like $7 for this. Listen, $7 for a 6-year-old Struise beer. Honestly, I would pay that shit all day long. That does not bother me in the slightest. Availability, I only found it one place out in the middle of Jersey, so take that for what it's worth and say if you like, well, will you like this? If you're watching this video, if you found this video because, not because you watch all my videos, but you searched out this beer, then you'll like this beer. If you like the, you know, the Trappist beers of the world, the you know, the Struise beers of the world, those Belgian juggernauts, those Netherlands juggernauts, those, you know, breweries that have been making all these great, fantastic beers over the years. If you're looking for that specific taste that you get from those, your De Molens, your De Struises, your Rocheforts, your Westfriedlands, all those, if you like those beers, you'll like this, because this is kind of where what you're getting is that beautiful Belgian soul in a pretty awesome package that's, if it's aged, even better. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, anywhere in between, down there, words and stuff and things. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Untapped, Massive Beers, all 4 of those places if you want to check this dude out anywhere else. And there you go. Another review down. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice Pannepeut right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.